and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, it's a great afternoon, Mr. Singleton. Ask me why.
Okay. What, Parker, why is your afternoon so good today?
Oh, so many reasons. So many reasons. First off, it's a Friday. Let's just start there.
Hell yeah.
The weekend's on tap, baby. The weekend is on deck, but not only that.
Are you going to be working over the weekend, though?
See, not nearly as much as I was last weekend because there are only 2 official visitors going to be in town at Oklahoma instead of 16. So it'll be a little bit lighter of a weekend for me. Don't hate that. And also, Oklahoma is hosting its final elite camp session today. It is the most talent-rich camp session by a long shot that they have had thus far, highlighted by a couple of nationally regarded, truly elite prospects, and we'll get to that in just a second. But also, all of my friends are back on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We had to get through the whole show yesterday without the text line, and we did it. We could get through the show every day without the text line in theory, but I like the text line.
The text line's back, the YouTube's back.
Oh, my goodness.
Everything's right with the world.
Everything is clicking on this Friday afternoon. We're excited to spend the next hour with you here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, talking OU football and recruiting, and we definitely need to start with what is going on over on campus right now, and that is the final elite camp session of this summer for the Oklahoma staff. They hosted one on June 1st. They hosted one on June 5th. They hosted one yesterday. They host their final one today. The way it works at OU's camps is you have the trench sessions in the mornings, O-line and D-line, and then in the afternoons, it's quarterbacks, skill guys, and then defensive backs and linebackers. So, it's broken up nicely. Now, I left campus at about 11:45 this morning to jet on over here. Generally, right about this time, they're only just getting started with the afternoon session, so I'm not really sure who all is going to be headlining that skill group. I do know who's going to be headlining the quarterback group, and we'll touch on that in just a minute as well. But let's start with the big-ticket items this morning. The Sooners just so happened to have the number 1 offensive tackle in the nation in the 2027 class and the number 1 prospect from right here in the state of Oklahoma on campus this morning for camp. And that, of course, is highly coveted Fort Gibson, Oklahoma tackle Cooper Hackett. He's making Teddy Lehman small potatoes in his own hometown. That's a difficult thing to do. But Cooper Hackett is doing it lately. He is, I don't know if there have been any Fort Gibson Sooners since Ted. But obviously Cooper Hackett has the offer to play at Oklahoma. He's got the offer to play pretty much anywhere in the country. All of the blue blood programs, all the top programs across the country have gotten involved in Cooper Hackett's recruitment. But he was in Norman this morning camping with Bill Bedenbaugh and the Sooners. Generally speaking, most days Cooper Hackett shows up on campus at a place like Oklahoma, Grayson. He is the guy. He is the most highly regarded prospect on campus. But that actually wasn't the case today, because the Sooners had the consensus number 1 defensive tackle in the 2027 cycle on campus for camp as well. And when I say consensus, here's what I mean. It's not 24/7 Sports telling you this guy's number 1 at the position. It's not Rivals telling you this guy's number 1 at the position. It's not On3 telling you this kid's number 1 at the position. It is all 3 of the major recruiting services that have Jalen Brewster out of Cedar Hill, Texas, ranked as the number 1 defensive tackle in the nation. He is a composite 5-star prospect. He is a guy that early in his recruitment, as it may be, is favoring 2 schools in particular. That's Oklahoma and Oregon. So if you're starting to get that sweet tooth craving for a 5-star pickup, I can't sit here and promise you that Jalen Brewster is going to be a Sooner. But Oklahoma has been a very, very prominent early contender in the race for Brewster. They've been trending well with the Cedar Hill product, and it's always a good sign when he's showing up to get some work with the coaches as well.
Let's revisit Jalen Brewster for a second, because we talked about him, I want to say 3 months ago. It may have even been within the first month that I joined the show in January. This was the dude who plays 3 technique, which, if you don't know, interior D-line. He can play as a stand-up edge rusher, and he also plays wildcat quarterback and usually runs the ball and does so very effectively. So that's this guy we're talking about, if this is bringing back memories from what we talked about a few months ago. So if Oklahoma gets this dude in, the sky's the limit for what you do with him. He can play like an R. Mason Thomas, standing up. He can play like a Dominic Williams, where he's an immovable force in the interior.
Or you can roll out the jumbo wishbone with Brewster at 1 halfback and Eddie Pierre-Louis at the other halfback.
You can have Refrigerator Perry all over again with this dude. No, I mean, and in all seriousness, the 5-star ranking makes perfect sense. Highly athletic, immovable, strong, ginormous. Be a fun dude to have on campus and have in your team. I will tell you that. Can you imagine? Could you imagine? Let's just say, the year is 2028.
Okay.
You've got Brian Harris and Jalen Brewster lining up next to each other on the same defensive line.
Just those two, that's it?
Well, just next to each other. We can fill out the rest.
I was about to say.
Thanks for
need a little bit of.
Thanks for ruining my hypothetical, Parker.
It's a great hypothetical. Brian Harris and Jalen Brewster, yes, you'll take that all day. Twice on Sunday. Man, Jalen Brewster, for being a class of 2027 guy, looks like he could show up on campus tomorrow, enroll, and give you rotational snaps this fall. He's well ahead of the developmental curve, which a guy like that, you have to wonder, okay, is everybody else going to catch up to him? Is he going to continue to improve, or does he just kind of plateau? Because there are plenty of guys that peak early. You don't know that they've peaked early, but then you look at it in retrospect a year and a half later, and you start to realize, oh, okay, well, he's probably not ever going to be as good as he was when he was a sophomore, junior in high school. There was a lot of that sentiment with Kevin Sperry, who was committed to Oklahoma for a long, long time at the quarterback position in the 2025 class. So you hope a guy like Jalen Brewster is just going to continue to progressively improve and get better and better and look more and more like an NFL body, an NFL player over time. Oklahoma's in a really, really good spot there. And with the way that Todd Bates has recruited that position in recent years, knowing that Oklahoma is number 1 in the race, and that's not just me talking. Think if you were to poll the industry, they would agree. Whether it holds or not, Oklahoma's number 1 for Jalen Brewster right this second. That's somebody that could be a legitimate cornerstone, perhaps the cornerstone, the David Stone, if you will, of your 2027 class come that time. The show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Head out there. Let them get you set up with one of the most reliable trucks and or SUVs on the market. They have half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Family-owned and operated. Dorsey Jones GMC is the place to be out in El Reno. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, if you would like to chime in, is 405-651-3439. We did not have access to texts throughout the entirety of yesterday's show, and so we have some stuff to catch up on. One of those that we missed yesterday, one of the conversation pieces that we missed yesterday that Drew from Flower Mound has brought back to our attention, is that apparently he has a friend who is the photographer for Penn State, and he shoots all the pics and videos for recruiting visits on top of practices. He said maybe we can get an inside scoop from him on Danny Odom, with him being from Pennsylvania. What's interesting is he's going to OV to Penn State, and we're talking right now about the number 8 cornerback in the 2026 class right now, Danny Odom, who was just on campus for an OV with Oklahoma over the weekend and is finishing out his OV slate with Auburn, with Ohio State, Penn State, and Nebraska before he decides on June 23rd. What's interesting is I was told last night that although he is going to OV there, Penn State isn't much of a factor right now for Danny Odom. And in fact, the school that OU might be arm wrestling with once decision day creeps real close is actually Nebraska. Nebraska has made a strong effort to get into the Sunshine State in the 26 cycle, and they've had a presence in Florida in the past. Heck, they stole one of Oklahoma's commits from down in the state of Florida last cycle in Cortez Mills, the 4-star wide receiver out of Homestead.
Yep.
And so Nebraska's been in the state, but they've, and I wouldn't call it major juice, they've got a little bit of momentum because they made a bowl game last year for the first time since 2016, and so you get the sense that that program is on an upward trajectory if you're a recruit. And you see Dylan Raiola, one of the most popular players in college football, set to jump into year 2 as the Huskers starter, and you're figuring, okay, this program might be getting close to national relevance once again. They might be starting to crest, if you will. Maybe I should jump on and ride that wave. And there's a thought that Nebraska is going to be able to do that with not only Danny Odom, but his high school teammate Devin Jackson, who's a 4-star safety formerly committed to Florida, as well as an uncommitted 4-star receiver from down in that area, Larry Miles, as well.
So you mentioned Nebraska. You mentioned Penn State not really in this thing. Ohio State still looms for Danny Odom. Mm-hmm. How much of a factor are the Buckeyes?
I would not dismiss Ohio State ever. Ohio State is Ohio State. They're going to be in the mix. Auburn, I expect, is going to be in the mix because, if nothing else, we know they can pay. We know they got money. It's a real pivotal year for Hugh Freeze and that staff.
Yeah.
Down there at Auburn.
So is this a situation where everybody except Penn State is still in the running for Odom?
I mean, look, I'm not going to say Penn State's out of the running. They're getting an OV. Just from the buzz that I've heard, it doesn't seem like they're a top-tier contender right now. They're sitting in that second tier. Oklahoma's certainly in the top tier. It sounds as though Nebraska is in the top tier. And if I had to throw a third team in there, I'd probably throw Ohio State in there. But it does feel like, just based on the way that recruitment is unfolding, as if it's anybody's game. Elsewhere on the text line, 405-651-3439, a listener down in the shady 580 says, speaking of the 27 class, where are we at with Zane Rowe? Is OU still a top school for him, or has he moved on? So if you're not familiar with Zane Rowe, this is a kid that committed to Oklahoma as a freshman in high school, committed in April of 2024. He's a class of 2027 two-way superstar from down at Denton Guyer High School in Texas, alma mater of one Jackson Arnold, as well as Peyton and Eli Bowen, and recent wide receiver transfer Josiah Martin, too. So Oklahoma's got a lot of familiarity with Guyer. But Zane Rowe committed to Oklahoma as a high school freshman in April of 2024. That commitment lasted about 9 months before he backed off of it this January. He is 6'5", 250 pounds, a top-of-the-line P4 prospect at both defensive end and tight end. I like him a little bit better at defensive end. That's where Oklahoma likes him as well. But most every school that is in the picture for Rowe is giving him the option of playing both ways. Now, obviously, you're going to major in one side of the ball and minor in the other. But Zane Rowe would like to dabble in a Travis Hunter-esque type of manner, and all of the schools that are in the running for his commitment have assented to that. Because a guy that good, and he's a national top 100 prospect regardless of position, you're going to be willing to let him do what he wants. Oklahoma is very much in the mix with Zane Rowe, to answer that question. Oklahoma, even since Zane Rowe decommitted, he's been back to Oklahoma, I think 3 times unofficially. So he's taken several visits back to Oklahoma since he decommitted. Still has a great relationship with Miguel Chavis and Brent Venables and the staff. And you tend to think of a decommitment. This is entirely natural. But when a kid decommits, your impression, Grayson, is, oh, he's kicking that school to the curb.
I'm so glad you're going this direction.
Yeah, he's not interested in that school anymore. On Rowe's part, it wasn't that, okay, I'm done with Oklahoma. I'm not going to consider them moving forward. That was the wrong decision. On his end of things, it was more of an acknowledgement that I made the call too early, and I need to thoroughly evaluate my options, and let's call a spade here. The situation to which he committed at Oklahoma last April did not remotely resemble the situation from which he decommitted come January of 25.
Yeah.
There was a 6-7 season that fell in between those 2 points on the calendar.
Yeah.
And so if you're class of 27 and you're still 2 years off, still 2 years away from showing up on campus at Oklahoma, you got to know beyond reasonable doubt that the coaches that you committed to are still going to be there. And 6 and 7 casts a little bit of doubt on that, Grayson.
And just 6 and 7 aside, he probably committed too early. He probably didn't do his due diligence.
And I don't know of a single kid that has committed as a freshman in high school. I'm sure there's been one somewhere. I don't know offhand of a single kid who committed as a freshman in high school to a P4 program in the sport of football and wound up signing without ever reopening their commitment. That is way early to make a college decision. I didn't even, and I wasn't a big-time athletic prospect, Grayson, but I didn't even want to think about college till I was a junior in high school.
Exactly.
You think you know at 14, 15 years old what's best for the 18-year-old version of you?
I did not even consider going to college where I went to college until 6 months before I graduated high school.
The point there is somewhat self-evident.
Yeah.
The commitment from Rowe was probably never going, and we talked about it at the time. Yeah, it's asking a lot for Oklahoma to be able to maintain that commitment for almost 3 full years is what it would have been. And so Oklahoma has resolved to continue fighting the battle with Zane Rowe. They still would love to add him to the 27 class, and they still have a great chance to do so. They're going to have to fight off Georgia and Oregon and Nebraska. He grew up, spent part of his childhood in Lincoln, so Nebraska's a player there. They're going to have to fight off the field for Zane Rowe. But no, by no means is Oklahoma out of the mix, and that is evidenced by the fact that he has been back to OU multiple times since decommitting. There is still a lot of interest there on Rowe's part. Okay, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. 2 official visitors this weekend for Oklahoma. We've talked about each a little bit throughout the week, but let's dive into where things stand with each of those 2 visitors on the other side and what Oklahoma needs to accomplish over the weekend to lock in their commitments. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Come back with us.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 is Home Creations.
Ah, the sounds of summer. You expect to hear this, not this. At bath time, the giggles should echo. Not alarms, but accidents happen fast. In just a moment, everything can change. Keep kids safe around water with these simple steps. Assign a responsible adult to watch the water. No phones, no distractions. Never take your eyes off a child during bath time. And always check for hidden dangers where kids play. Let's make water safety part of every day. For more information, visit oklahoma.gov/health/drowning.
At Meals on Wheels of Norman, we deliver more than just meals. We deliver connection, compassion, and care to homebound seniors right here in our community. but we need your help. Volunteer drivers are the heart of what we do, and just a little of your time can make a big impact. Join our team, make a difference. Visit millsonwheelsnorman.com or contact us at 405-321-7272 to sign up as a volunteer and start serving smiles today.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Tired of feeling pressured by salespeople when shopping for auto insurance? At Right Way Insurance, there's no hard sell, just a clear, straightforward approach. We work with multiple insurance companies to give you the best options and rates with no gimmicks. You'll get the right coverage tailored to your needs, all while avoiding hidden fees and confusing policies. So if you're ready for a better experience with auto insurance, visit rightwayinsuranceok.com or call 405-607-6014 for your free quote today. Right Way Insurance, no pressure, just the right insurance for you.
Change is coming, Ref Army. From the voice of the Sooners on the rush every day for the triple option.
We've landed on the triple option, and I'm excited.
To the Plank Show, taking over your morning drive from 6 to 9.
Every single radio person, what they want to do is they want to do a morning show.
And the addition of Dari Noka from 9 to noon.
While remembering that Oklahoma is top dog, I want to bring an SEC perspective.
Whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, no one covers the Sooners like we do.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Visit Confidence Ford of Norman and receive employee pricing on our Ford lineup. But that's not all. We'll also give you a complimentary spray-in bed liner and window tint on all remaining new 2024 Super Duty trucks in stock, or save up to $10,000 on all remaining new 2024 Broncos. Drive the Ford you've always wanted from a team that puts you first. Visit us today, conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, part of the Cavender Auto family, where confidence is Cavender.
Get ready, Norman. It's time again for the annual Norman Juneteenth Festival happening June 19th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Reeves Park. Join us for a family-friendly educational celebration of black culture, freedom, and community. Enjoy live entertainment, food, art, and activities for all ages. Then we end the night with a Big Bang fireworks show. Everyone is welcome, and everyone is encouraged to attend. Come celebrate history, unity, and all things Juneteenth. Learn more at normanjuneteenth.com and follow at Norman Juneteenth on all social platforms.
Oh, man, Grayson, I'm reliving some great high school memories right now. Watching Coastal Carolina and Arizona play in Omaha. Because that was the final. That was the matchup in the College World Series final.
Oh, that's right.
In 2016. And I was a junior in high school at the time. I went to dang near every game that CWS. I think I missed 2 games over the course of that entire tournament. And boy, is that emblazoned into my memory. Arizona wins game 1. Then Mike Morrison, Coastal's closer, gets the start in game 2. I think he went 7 innings, gave up 1 run, evened the series. We all went to the ballpark on Monday night to watch this decisive game 3 matchup. There was a bunch of storms that rolled through. The game got postponed. And so we had to wait until Tuesday. And I think they started game 3 of the championship series at like noon on a Tuesday. And so me and all my high school buddies were out of school, right? We have nothing better to do. I was working at the golf course that time, but it was the easiest thing in the world to get off a maintenance shift at the golf course. And we roll up, and the stadium is like half full because everybody had already booked their flights out of town. Completely under the expectation that the series was going to be over by Monday at the latest, because who knows if the series would go 3 games, and what are the odds that there is a game 3 that just so happens to get postponed due to rain. And so we went and we found empty seats right behind home plate. and watched Game 3 of the championship series. Went all the way down to the wire. Coastal was up 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth. It was Andrew Beckwith who stranded the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth inning to give Coastal a 4-3 win. Andrew Beckwith, that was so much fun, man. He had 2 different arm slots. He was just this very run-of-the-mill, cookie-cutter, overhand righty, or at least that's what it looked like until he would pull out this submarine delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So he would throw overhand, he would throw submarine. He threw like 85 miles an hour. But nobody could touch him.
Because you didn't know where it was going to come from.
Well, you didn't know where it was going to come from. His delivery looked the exact same until he released it, or until like a split second before he released it. And so you never knew whether the pitch was coming from up top or whether it was coming from down low. Andrew Beckwith, I did some internet research during the break. Had to catch up with Andrew Beckwith, see what he's doing now. Unfortunately, he is out of professional baseball, and he is an Uber driver. So,
is that what his LinkedIn says? Just
that is correct.
Uber driver?
Yes.
Really?
Andrew Beckwith, or it's Uber or Lyft. Here, I'll pull it back.
He's not selling cars anywhere around Coastal Carolina or something?
Well, okay, yep. Here's his LinkedIn page. He is an Uber driver in the greater Myrtle Beach area. Dang, man.
I wonder if that's
apparently he's been driving for both Uber and Lyft ever since he got out of professional baseball.
Interesting. I figured he would become I figured he'd become a local hero and, at least be selling insurance around or something like that. But hey, man, if that's lucrative for you, I mean, maybe around a beach area that could be halfway lucrative for you.
Yeah, I mean, tourist town. I'm sure he's making decent money.
Tourist town, Myrtle Beach, you probably got a lot of intoxicated people around that are paying you money, tipping you pretty well.
Oh, brother. Andrew Beckwith. He will always have the 2016 College World Series. And he has it on his LinkedIn, MVP of the 2016 Men's Baseball College World Series.
Because why would you not?
Why wouldn't you?
A texter in the 918 rudely says, F where you went to college, Grayson. Glad the text line is working again.
And so am I. Gunny of Stutzman Army says, I hope Ebony and Ivory are living in perfect harmony today. We sure are, Gunny. Always.
Oh my gosh.
Always. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Okay, so now that my Andrew Beckwith tangent has run its course, let's talk about the 2 official visitors this weekend for Oklahoma. 4-star running back Dzathan Walker out of Peculiar, Missouri. We dug into that one a little bit yesterday. We will dig in a little bit more in just a second. But the other official visitor, Grayson, is an interesting one. Josiah Jefferson, junior college tight end from Southwestern Community College in the state of California. This Oklahoma visit falls between OVs to Arizona and Utah. He was at Arizona last weekend. He will be at Utah next weekend. But I think there's a decent chance he never takes the Utah visit. Because I think Oklahoma may be able to wrap this one up this weekend. He's Tony Jefferson's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some familiarity with Oklahoma, with the campus. He hasn't been here since he was a young child. So a lot has changed between now and then, obviously. And I'm not even sure how much he remembers of Oklahoma from when he was coming here as a youth. But Josiah Jefferson is somebody that if indeed Oklahoma can get him locked in this weekend, there's very much a possibility that he could join the Sooners roster and get enrolled in time for fall camp and be here for the 2025 season. Potentially see action at tight end for Oklahoma, because what have we said about that tight end room all year, Grayson? It's anybody's ball game. Devon Mitchell's out of the picture. It's anybody's ball game. Anybody's gig at tight end. Who's going to step up and take it?
Why don't we just throw somebody else in there at this point into the fray?
Josiah Jefferson's tape is nice, man.
It's not bad. I'm literally watching it as we speak. So Let me ask you this: how realistic, if he never takes the Utah visit, let's say he's enamored with Norman enough to where he shuts it down after that, what is the realistic chances that he's here enrolled and in fall camp and ready to go for the season?
I think they'd be pretty good because it's all contingent upon some the resolution of some red tape as far as the NCAA is concerned, which Oklahoma can help with, right? If he signs with Oklahoma, the OU administration is going to be able to make some calls, pull some strings, accelerate the process along. I won't act like I know what goes on inside the administrative buildings at NCAA headquarters. But I imagine they're a little bit more eager to get things resolved for a guy that is signed to play tight end at the University of Oklahoma than some JUCO kid from Southwestern Community College out in California. So, landing with Oklahoma, I would think, gets Josiah Jefferson a little bit closer to being able to obtain eligibility from the NCAA for the 2025 season. So, with the recent ruling in the Diego Pavia case, there's the possibility he could play as many as 4 seasons at Oklahoma. Don't know that to be a fact, but it's on the table. And there's not a whole lot of blocking on his tape, Grayson. But he's a really impressive route runner and pass catcher.
Really
There's
impressive
something there.
Really impressive route runner. Really impressive route runner against zone, by the way. He has a very good feel for space and connection with his quarterback in terms of how to get himself open against zone defense, which is nice because most teams play zone defense now. Not a whole lot of man-to-man being run, or at least true man-to-man being run these days. So he's the football IQ is there for him to make him a guy who could be an impact player in year one.
I think Josiah Jefferson ends up at Oklahoma. Hopefully that happens before the weekend is over. Hopefully he just never takes the Utah visit. Certainly that's what Oklahoma's hoping for, but also, the sooner he is a member of the program at OU, the sooner you can, like I said, start to accelerate the process of getting things resolved with the NCAA and ideally getting him in the mix in the 2025 season because it's going to be all hands on deck for Oklahoma at tight end. The battle for that job, the battle for that starting job is wide open going into fall camp. And I'm not necessarily of the opinion that Josiah Jefferson shows up and beats everybody out for the starting gig. I got to see more from him as a blocker. Because, again, there's not a whole lot of that on tape. And if you're going to play tight end in Ben Arbuckle's offense, you got to be able to block.
There's a texter that has a counterpoint to that. Mike S. on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, need pass-catching tight end more than a blocking tight end.
Yeah, okay. Do you?
I don't know, given the personnel right now, I don't know if that is essential right now. Because you've got, especially if Deion Burks can stay healthy and Giovanni Gibson comes back, you've got 2 guys, Burks because of his quickness, Gibson because of his size, that can own the middle of the field.
Let me ask you this. Was Bauer Sharp a pass-catching tight end or a blocking tight end?
Well, given how he was
Bauer Sharp was a pass-dropping tight end.
Given how he was deployed, can I say neither?
You got to have somebody out there on the field at tight end that can block. They don't have to be a great blocker, but they got to be able to hold their own. And hopefully, whoever is playing tight end for Oklahoma isn't asked to block Dylan Stewart one-on-one like Bauer Sharp was last year. But you got to be able to hold your own as a blocker in the SEC. So I'm not necessarily saying Josiah Jefferson can't. I'm just saying I don't know that there's enough context for that on tape for me to make that judgment. And so I'm not necessarily of the opinion that if he lands at Oklahoma, he's showing up and he's tight end 1 and he's starting. But could he factor into the mix at that position? Certainly he could.
Powder Puff says, what's Jefferson's measurables? 6'5", 230.
There you go. Big old boy. Sooner Bump says, Sharp was neither, he a hoe.
What if Bauer Sharp has a very productive year at
That's
LSU?
kind of exactly where I was about to, Watch. It'll happen. Bauer Sharp will show up to Norman in an LSU Tigers uniform, and he'll have 3 touchdown catches against OU because that's just how the cookie crumbles. Chris from Knoxville says, I thought Bauer Sharp was a passing tight end.
Good God.
So Josiah Jefferson, I think things look pretty good for Oklahoma on paper going into that visit. DeZathan Walker, man, this is – and, yes, you'd like to get Jefferson. I think the higher priority this weekend, though, especially because of where Oklahoma's at in the 2026 class at his position, is certainly DeZathan Walker, the blue-chip running back out of the state of Missouri. Number 18 nationally among running backs. Big back, 6'5". Or I'm sorry, not 6'5". That would be a huge back.
Nope.
6 foot, 205.
He's not Brandon Jacobs.
My brain or my mouth went a little faster than my brain there. 6 foot.
Pause.
Gosh.
What?
6 foot, 205 pounds, out of Ray Peck High School. Oklahoma primarily battling Nebraska. Kansas State in that process as well. But Oklahoma gets him on campus this weekend. Nebraska gets him on campus next weekend.
2-Star Jay in Tulsa says, guys, you two are the black and white cookie of afternoon sports radio. I love it.
I love it too, Jay.
And that's our new podcast name.
Black and White Cookie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like my grandparents might be like, why on earth are you on a show that is named that?
And my grandparents would probably say the same thing. Oh, right. But what do you think of the whole DeZathan Walker thing? Like, what's your feeling on this going into OV weekend? Because he's never been to Oklahoma before.
And that's the thing. And I said this yesterday, and we were all sorts of crippled, so I'll say it again. I don't think this is one where they shut it down. I would be pretty surprised if even if he ends up landing at Oklahoma, I would be surprised if he shuts it down after this visit. Just given the circumstances around it and the fact that, he hasn't been here before. So I still think this is going to be a process he finishes out. Do I think he could land at Oklahoma? Sure. Do I also think that here's the other thing too. I think if the way the running backs are deployed is still as questionable as it was last year, even if he does commit, I do think DeMarco Murray has something to prove in terms of how he uses his running backs to keep his commitment.
It should be a lot easier for DeMarco Murray to manage that room.
I would imagine because you have the actual 1A.
Yes, the solution is staring him right in the face.
Right.
Whereas in years past, you look at 23-24, it wasn't necessarily clear who the bell cow option was at running back.
And you could, especially because literally all of them had problems staying consistently healthy, you can reasonably maybe give him a pass. This year, it's pretty much foolproof unless Jaden O'Neal gets hurt.
As long as Jaden O'Neal stays healthy, you better be able to get 1,000 yards out of Jaden O'Neal. I think that's got to be the baseline expectation. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. One more segment for the show and for the week here on Locked In coming up. Let's hit a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and talk more OU football and recruiting on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is your home for Sooner fans. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland & Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
Belmar Golf Club offers a whole new world of recreation and excitement. Our Junior Olympic-sized swimming pool offers a family-friendly atmosphere with poolside food and beverages perfect for all types of summer pool parties. In addition to the best golf course in Oklahoma, Belmar is also a great place to hold corporate and fundraising events, as well as magnificent and memorable wedding ceremonies. Call 405-364-0111 or stop by 1025 East Indian Hills Road and check out our first-class facilities and exceptional service.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Oklahoma-based Precision Fluid Power sells new and remanufactured hydraulic pumps, as well as repairs for virtually any hydraulic pump, motor, hydraulic servo valve, and cylinder. We serve all industries, large or small, regardless of what equipment you operate. Industrial, mobile, agricultural, construction. With over 150 years of expertise, the Precision Fluid Power team can provide solutions to handle all your hydraulic needs, local or out of state. Precision Fluid Power can help. PrecisionFluidPower.com.
Hey Sooner fans, it's almost football season, and there's no better time to gear up than right now at Balfour of Norman, your locally owned headquarters for all things Sooner. Whether you're searching for your new lucky game day polo, tee, or hat, we've got you covered from top brands like Nike, Jordan, and Tommy Bahama. Looking to take your tailgate or watch party up a notch? Check out our great selection of OU glassware, flags, and serving pieces. Come support local, stock up on Sooner style, and get ready to yell Boomer Sooner, only at Balfour of Norman, where Sooner spirit lives year-round.
How do I say goodbye?
Hey, Ref Army, we're saying goodbye to 20-plus years of the T-Row in the Morning Show, and you're invited. Join us Tuesday, June 17th from 9 to noon for a special edition of The Plank Show live at the Mont as we do our best to give T-Row and TJ the send-off they deserve. Have some queso, a swirl, some laughs, and say goodbye to the fellas with the rest of the Ref Army. That's Tuesday morning at the Mont from 9 to noon as we say farewell to the T-Row in the Morning Show on the Ref.
Apparently, there's a big debate going on right now on Twitter.com about whether you need to season an egg.
In what form?
I mean, I assume fried.
Yes.
Maybe like I mean, technically, most of the ways that you cook an egg are practically the same in a pan.
Except if you boil it.
Yeah, you can boil an egg, and obviously if you boil an egg, you're not seasoning it because it's still in the shell.
Right.
But, have you ever had a poached egg?
No.
Poaching eggs is hard. It's difficult to properly poach an egg. But if you can properly poach an egg, that might be my favorite way to eat an egg.
Really?
Yes.
But let's go back to the genesis of this.
Okay.
Because I think if you do not season your eggs, whether you fry them or scramble them, I don't want to eat any food you ever cook.
I will say this. Listen, I'm a big seasoning guy. Things need to be seasoned properly.
100%.
1,000%. Not even 100%. 1,000%. You need to be intentional about seasoning your food, because it makes it far more enjoyable of an experience when your food is properly seasoned. There's nothing worse than eating bland food.
You know what I started doing too?
What's that?
Before I come into the office, because I get to this office about 9:30, 9:40 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I will take out a chicken breast that I will have for dinner, and I'll marinate my chicken.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. The only meat that I don't marinate is ground beef. But
Which makes sense, yeah.
anytime on the off occasion that I make a steak, that's marinating for 5+ hours. Chicken marinates all day. Get that flavor all into it. By the way, Brian from Maryland says all you need is salt and butter for eggs.
Sir.
Where's the pepper?
Sir.
Where's
Sir,
the
you
pepper?
You gotta have some pepper.
Have to have
salt
pepper.
and pepper at a minimum. At a minimum. Now, you don't. And I think the crux of the debate is more like you don't need to go overboard on seasoning eggs. I think
no, you don't.
It was all rooted in a TikTok video where, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens on TikTok. That's why I'm not on it. But on this TikTok video, I guess this girl's just going nuts, seasoning her egg as if she were seasoning a Thanksgiving turkey or something. You don't need to go overboard with seasoning eggs. One of the things that I will do regularly at my house is, if I'm trying to have a good hearty breakfast, I will make myself a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich on a pretzel bun. It's quite delicious. I get some breakfast sausage, some organic farmhouse sausage every month in my meat box because I have that butcher box subscription, and so I'll make the little sausage patties and grill them, and then all you really have to do with the egg, I have this all-purpose seasoning, this Kinder all-purpose seasoning. I think its official label is meat and veggie rub, but it's kind of like the Head Country seasoning, right?
Yeah.
Like just an all-purpose seasoning. All you got to do is sprinkle that on the egg. You don't even need to do both sides. If you just season one side of the egg, you're pretty good. That'll do.
There's a lot of people who are weighing in on this one. 4-Star Shark says garlic, salt, pepper, and mustard on omelet/scrambled eggs. Number one, I don't eat mustard anyway, and I sure as hell am not putting it on my eggs.
Yeah, mustard on eggs, that's a no from me. And I do like mustard, but not on eggs. Get that out of here, please and thank you.
Gunny says, not on the topic of this, but on the topic of the promo for the Farewell to the T-Row show.
Uh-huh.
He says, the Farewell to the T-Row show sounds like one of those sad ASPCA commercials, which is what I was just laughing at. You remember those commercials, right?
Oh, Reformed Sooner says, don't ever complain about the other guy on the other station talking about his gout. Folks, genuinely, I ask this question to all of you. Would you rather talk about food or gout?
I hope this isn't a debate in anybody's mind.
Oh, Jason M says for scrambled, try pimento cheese in them. I could see that being all right.
I've tried that before. It is not bad.
I'm not big on pimento cheese, but I could see it. I'm sure Steely would be real into that. Steely's a big pimento cheese guy.
Is he really?
Okay, let's get this show back on track. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet.
One more.
Okay.
A text on the 940. Your comment on having a meat box didn't sound right. Which, if any of you are watching on YouTube, you saw my face.
You guys don't miss a beat, do you? Y'all do not miss a beat.
It's good to have the text line back.
That it is. Hey, Jaden O'Neal's camping at Oklahoma this afternoon.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of the headliner as far as the quarterbacks go. But, oh, you heck said, Parker, how do you break in a new baseball glove? Get that out of here.
Is this an inside joke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is. If you listen to Steely and I, that's a joke that would land better with Steely probably because he's the one that does the impression to which that text is related. But Jaden O'Neal is the headliner amongst the quarterback group this afternoon at OU's camp. But there's another quarterback, Grayson, another quarterback and a local one at that I think may very well leave campus with an offer. Now, I don't know that to be the case. Sometimes I do. For instance, last summer when Oklahoma brought Trey Taylor and Peyton Houston to camp, Trey Taylor and Peyton Houston were getting the offer. Both of them were getting the offer unless they, I don't know. I don't know what could possibly have caused them to not get the offer the day that they showed up. It was kind of a formality. Just come throw in front of the staff. We'll give you an offer. Unless they were in full nuke Lelouch mode and couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for whatever reason, those two guys were getting offers. I don't know for a fact that this particular local quarterback is going to get an offer today, but I know it is a strong possibility. Now, the quarterback to whom I am referring, and you are no doubt somewhat familiar with him, is Creed Barrett down at Washington. 2A state champion as a freshman, mind you. Started for the Warriors last year as a freshman, led them to another state title. 29 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, if memory serves me correctly. Now, the bugaboo with him, if there is one, and he at this point in his development, he can make all the throws, man. He can push it downfield. He's precise. He's got good mobility. He's the type of quarterback that Ben Arbuckle's looking for. The rub with him, though, is that he's small. He's probably about 5'10" right now. And if he's got another inch or two in him, that's fine, right? And in all honesty, he's probably fine as it is. Steve Sarkisian just took a quarterback in the 25 cycle named KJ Lacey, whom I have seen in person, and I would be surprised if he measures in at any taller than 5'9" this fall on Texas's official roster. So gone are the days where you feel like you have to have a 6'4", 6'5" dude at the quarterback position. But I'm going to be watching closely today to see if Ben Arbuckle decides to make a move on Creed Barrett before he leaves campus and goes back home to Washington, Oklahoma, because I think it's a very realistic possibility that he walks away with an offer. To this point, the Sooners have only offered one signal caller in the 28 class, that being Graham Simpson out of the state of Tennessee, younger brother of projected Alabama starting quarterback Ty Simpson.
And a really good player, by the way.
He is a really good player. Yep. You watch him on tape, he doesn't look like a 15-year-old. Very advanced. But Ben Arbuckle, in 28, from what I know and understand, would like to have 2 quarterbacks, initially speaking, that he is actively recruiting and is willing to take a commitment from. So Graham Simpson is certainly one. Could Creed Barrett be the other? I think it's a very strong possibility.
Gone are the days where you have to have that prototypical 6'4", 225 quarterback.
Yes.
But we can't go so far the other way.
No, certainly not.
If you're 5'9", 5'10", like there's not that many 5'9", 5'10" people that make it work. Russell Wilson made it work. He's an anomaly with the way he plays. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray can make it work because Kyler Murray can run around everybody. That doesn't mean Creed Barrett can do the same. And he's plenty athletic, as most quarterbacks these days are. That's just how the position is brought up. But you have to be able to compensate for that lack of height, especially in the SEC, with something.
And primarily the way you compensate for a lack of height is you create clear throwing lanes for yourself.
Exactly.
That's the big thing, and it was something that Dylan Gabriel had to get accustomed to when he showed up at Oklahoma, because he was playing all of a sudden against bigger defensive linemen, taller defensive linemen with longer wingspans that could get their hands up and deflect his throws. And you saw that a lot the first half of the 2022 season at Oklahoma when Dylan Gabriel was getting acclimated as the starter at OU. Man, he had a lot of passes batted down. But you fast forward to 2023, it still happened from time to time. I mean, it's going to happen from time to time with any quarterback, but it became much less of a regular thing because Dylan Gabriel adapted his game and he figured out how to create clear throwing lanes for himself. That's another thing that Peyton Houston does very well in the 27 class. But Ben Arbuckle's philosophy is very much, hey, I'm just looking for good football players at the quarterback position, looking for good leaders, guys that can move, guys that can keep this offense humming. John Mateer himself is not that big. He's about 6'1", so taller than Houston, taller than Barrett, but not that much taller. John Mateer had 44 total touchdowns in Ben Arbuckle's offense last year. So that'll be one that we're scrutinizing quite closely this afternoon. Going to be interested to see how well Creed Barrett performs in front of that OU staff, and think it's a very distinct possibility that he could be another offer in the 28 class for Oklahoma at quarterback. As of right now, I want to say he has 5, maybe 6 offers. SMU is the biggest for him so far. And he really does like SMU. SMU is going to be a player in that recruitment in the long term, especially because they got in as early as they did. Man, I guess that's it for this week, man. We have brought another week of Locked In to its conclusion. Thanks to all of you for coming along for the ride with us throughout the week. And we're going to have a lot to discuss when we come back on Monday. Because by that point, Dzathan Walker's OV will be wrapped up. Josiah Jefferson's OV will be wrapped up. And we'll also be looking ahead to the Champ U Barbecue.
Oh, that is next week.
As of last count, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 official visitors for Oklahoma expected next weekend. So it will be a busy, busy week here on Locked In. Starting next Monday, we look forward to all of that, and we look forward to having you join us on the other side of the weekend. Don't go anywhere, though, because Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas are next. The Rush is coming up here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll see you Monday, folks.